All right, in just the next few minutes, we're going to tear through Boeing's 100-plus page earnings report, and we're going to focus on the one giant paradox you have to understand. How can a company with sales going through the roof still be burning through billions of dollars? I'm going to show you exactly which programs are causing all the pain and the single biggest red flag waving on their balance sheet. Let's get into it.
So, what's going on here? The whole story of Boeing's third quarter, really, it's a battle between two completely opposite forces. On one hand, you've got this incredible, almost insatiable demand for their planes. But on the other hand, you've got this massive financial black hole that's just swallowing every dollar of profit. Let's just look at the raw numbers.
Okay, so let's start with the good news, because there is some. From any investor's point of view, that top line, the revenue, it's beautiful. They pulled in $23.3 billion this quarter. I mean, that's a massive 30% jump from this time last year. So let's be clear. The world wants Boeing planes. Demand is absolutely not the problem here.
But, and this is a huge but, this is where the story takes a really dark turn. Even with all that cash coming in the door, Boeing still managed to post a net loss of over $5 billion. Look at that number. That's not a small miss, a rounding error. That's a gigantic, staggering loss for just one quarter.
And if you're holding the stock, well, that pain is very real. It translates to a loss of $7.14 for every single share. So the big question, the one we have to answer is, where in the world is all that money going? To figure that out, we've got to look inside the business itself.
Okay, so to really understand what's happening, we need to dissect the company into its main parts. This is where the story starts to come together and where the problems become obvious.
Okay, look at this table. It basically tells you everything you need to know. You've got two parts of the business that are actually making money, global services and defense. Together, they brought in over $1 billion in operating income. Not bad, right? But then you look at the main event, commercial airplanes, and it's just completely overwhelmed by a staggering $5.4 billion loss.
And this chart just makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? I mean, global services, that's your profit engine, cranking out almost $1 billion. Defense is, well, it's treading water, barely breaking even. But then you see that massive red bar for commercial airplanes. It's not just a loss, it's a financial inferno that's burning down all the good stuff and then some.
So all this pressure on the operations side, what does that do to the company's actual financial health? For that, we need to do a quick health check by looking at the balance sheet.
The very first thing any investor looks at is cash versus debt. And what we see here, well, it's deeply concerning. Boeing is sitting on more than $53 billion in debt, and their cash on hand, just over $6 billion. I mean, that is a massive, massive imbalance. It gives them very little room to maneuver.
Now, this right here, this is the critical red flag. This is the one that should make any serious investor pause. Boeing is in a state of what's called shareholders deficit. What does that mean in plain English? It means their liabilities, what they owe, are bigger than their assets, what they own, by over $8 billion. That is a major sign of serious financial strain.
So where are these massive losses actually coming from? To find the smoking gun, we have to dig into the footnotes of their financial statements. We're looking for a really painful accounting concept that's just haunting their biggest programs. It's something called a reach-forward loss. And yeah, it sounds like boring accounting jargon, but it represents a brutal reality. It's basically the company being forced to admit, hey, this long-term project is a disaster. It's going to lose money. And the rules say they can't just pretend. They have to recognize the entire estimated loss for the whole contract, right now, today. And in this quarter, these reach-forward losses just slammed several of Boeing's biggest, most important contracts. And we're not talking about one little problem area. This is hitting their flagship programs across the board in both their commercial and their defense divisions.
And here it is, the #1 culprit for this quarter's terrible results, the 777X program. Their brand new next-generation jumbo jet was forced to book a reach-forward loss of $4.9 billion. Think about that. That single program is responsible for almost the entire operating loss of the commercial airplanes division.
And if you're thinking, okay, well, at least that's over with, think again. Boeing themselves are warning investors right in their official filing. This quote says it all. They are basically telling you the bleeding from the 777X program might not be over. They're saying point blank that more of these huge losses could be coming down the pike. Okay, so let's pull this all together. What's the bottom line for an investor? What are the key things you absolutely need to take away from this report?
All right, here's the summary. 4 key points. 1, demand is fantastic, customers are lining up for planes, but the company's execution is so flawed it's erasing all the potential profit. 2, these problem programs, especially the 776X and the KC-46 tanker, are just value destroyers right now. They're locked into bad contracts. 3, the balance sheet is weak, way too much debt, not enough cash, and that shareholder deficit is a huge red flag. And finally, number 4, the one true bright spot, the one thing holding things together is that consistently profitable global services division.
So all of this leads to the ultimate multi-billion-dollar question, doesn't it? On one side, you have this colossal backlog of orders worth $636 billion. I mean, that's a crystal clear signal of future revenue. But the question is, can they actually fix the deep, fundamental problems that are causing their most important programs to just hemorrhage cash? So what is it? Is this the start of a historic turnaround story, or is it a classic value trap for unsuspecting investors? The answer to that question is going to define the next decade for this aviation giant.